My name is Bill Birindwa. Originally came from the Democratic Republic of Congo and I've been here for nearly 20 years. I work as a professional interpreter in 6 languages. Um, During the nearly 20 years I've been doing this job for, I've worked with different uh, courts. I've worked with mental health review tribunals, migration review tribunals. I've worked with administrative and appeals tribunals. I've worked with magistrate courts, worked with district courts. I've even worked with the High Court of Australia. The first barrier is the language one. Language barrier is a serious problem. Of course, it is fixed by the court providing an interpreter, but still that can be a barrier because, the level of education, sometimes the judge asks a question and because of, this education part of it thing, the client gives a different answer, something which is not even related to what the judge was expecting. So language can be a problem. Also, the level of education can be a problem. Lack of understanding of the legal system is another barrier I encounter when working with the judicial system. They don't understand the legal process. You find that somebody is ready to defend themselves, and yet it is not time for that. They don't understand that they have to wait for a lawyer to step in order to help them. The other barrier I have noticed is they don't understand how to access legal representation. That's another serious problem. They don't know how to apply for legal aid, or when they can apply for legal aid, they cannot apply for legal aid. I mean, they don't know how to hire the service of a lawyer. And if they knew, some don't have the means to hire a lawyer. They cannot pay the fees of using a lawyer. Well, the interpreter, what he does really is to make sure he fills the gap. The first barrier we said is communication. So he should be able to pass the message from the judge to the non-English speaker correctly, and the other way around, from the non-English speaker to the judge accurately. That's very important, very crucial to fill this communication gap between the non-English speaker and the judge. Before proceeding, if the judicial system could organize a way of giving a brief to the interpreter, I think that could help to make the interpreter feel comfortable because they know what's going on. If this could be possible. If not possible, what could be done, for instance, is speak slowly. And when I say speak slowly, from my experience, judges are very slow. Non-English speakers, people who have English as the second language can understand the judges easily. But prosecutors, they tend to speak very, very fast. That's something I've noticed. So my recommendation would be to train prosecutors. The other thing which could be done, interpreters should be comfortable enough to ask a question. For instance, if there is a very technical language which is used, the interpreter could help by asking clarification so that the message can be, transferred accurately. The interpreter or the prosecutor could speak slowly, break the message into shorter segments so that the interpreter can remember. The other thing I found interesting is when the prosecutor gives the brief, of summary, or the brief or the summary of charges to the interpreter, I find it easy to, repeat what he's reading as he's reading the charges against the non-English speaker. Well, when the standards are not met, the consequence could be wrong judgment. If the judge doesn't use a qualified interpreter, a competent interpreter, there can be wrong judgments. That's number one. The other consequence, if no breaks are given, the interpreter will be tired and not do a good job. If it's a long day, it's a full day in session, breaks would be important and maybe shorter than what the judges could think of to help, to help the interpreter do a good job. If the judge doesn't use simple language, the interpreter will just not understand. And if he's not comfortable or, not courageous enough to ask the judge to use simple language, then again, the judgment can be distorted because of that. The best judge calls my clients, as not as soon as I arrive, but they take into account my time. They know that I have another job. And that's very interesting because they have time. They call the client quickly. Whatever should be done is done within my limits. So really, that's very, very important for judges to remember that interpreters are professionals. They've got other jobs. They should not be underrated, looked at as secondary professionals. Treat them with respect. At times, I've dealt with, a treatment which was not respectful in court, and that led to calling my client late. I had to leave without even doing the job because I had another job. I had to go, and the judge got angry with me. But I couldn't break the rules of my job, in order to make the judge happy. So really, call the client and know that the interpreter is not obliged to be there until the judge is available. Well, I don't think there is much really that an interpreter needs to know. He has to be ready to do his job. Again, as we said, he must be well trained. If it's a short factor, if it's a short period of time, well, the judge would call the client and the interpreter should be ready to deal with the interpreting session. If it's a long day, what could the interpreter do? Be ready for a long day. And again, if short breaks, are given to him, he's going to be able to do a good job. Really, an interpreter who's well trained should deal with the interpreting session no matter how long or short it is. Well, again, use the time of the interpreter wisely. Don't wait for the last 15 minutes to call the non-English speaker, because the interpreter, if he has another job, he's already under stress. He won't be able to do a good job. As I said last time, I had to leave and the judge said, "Interpreter, you were going when I'm doing this?" I said, "I'm sorry, I have to go because I have another job." He looked very ugly, and it's really, the recommendation is call the non-English speaker before the booking time of the interpreter